Hello everyone, my name is Otavio and this is the Galleon Library. Today I'm going to be reviewing Annihilation by Jeff VanderMeer. This is going to be my first review as part of my Nebula and Hugo Awards review series. So yeah, this book has not been nominated for a Hugo Award yet, but it might. It's one of the contenders, I think, and it has really good chances. It was nominated for the Nebula Awards, so that's why I'll be reviewing this now. Annihilation is the first book in the Southern Reach trilogy by Jeff VanderMeer. All three books were released in 2014, so there's even the chance that the entire series might be nominated for the Hugo Awards. Maybe, or maybe just the first book, who knows. Also I'll be using my review parameters for this book. If you guys don't know exactly what I mean, you can check my other video, the one titled How I Rate Books and Other Announcements. On that I'll be discussing how I actually rate my books, and there's a system that I go by and I'll be using that right now. So let's get to it. First of all, the first parameter I'll be reviewing is the premise. So the premise of this book is there is an area in the southern part of the United States. I don't know if the book actually mentions where it is thus far, but I imagine it to be around Georgia or Florida, somewhere down the coast of the southern United States. Yeah, so around that area, an ecological disaster happened, or something that's not very well described in the book, but basically creates this area that has an invisible border with the rest of America called Area X. Strange things happen in that area, and a secret government organization called the Southern Reach, hence the name of the trilogy, is conducting expeditions into Area X. There have been 11 expeditions thus far. The first one reports an idyllic location, beautiful and basically untouched by humanity, and other subsequent expeditions report really, really terrible things. Some of them kill themselves, others come back crazy, others come back devoid of all that made them themselves, devoid of all of their personalities, and each has a very different story and a very different horrible thing that happened to them. And this book follows the 12th expedition. The expedition has 4 members, all female, and it's composed by a biologist, a psychologist, an anthropologist, and a surveyor. So basically, I really, really, really love this premise. It's so interesting. I don't remember reading anything, so premise for me was definitely a 5-star. Now for the plot and pace. So, the book is narrated by the biologist, and it's somewhat well plotted and really well paced as well, though there are some breaks to the pace, because basically the structure goes this way. The biologist will be describing things happening in the present in the expedition, and then she would just break into remembering things from her life before going into the expedition. So that is interesting, very, very interesting in fact, and sometimes her past will shed light on some things that happened to her in the future. Some of the times this would be good because it would break a little bit of the tension, it would be good to keep going in the novel, but other times it would just take me out of that zone of being, you know, so creeped out by this world. Yeah, so double-edged sword there. So I gave plot and pace 3.5 stars. So now for the characters. So basically we have the 4 main characters. Each one is not referred by their names, just by their professions, and sometimes they refer to each other a little bit clinically because they're in this situation of an expedition, and it's a job. So they're referring to each other in a very, very cold way. They're not friends, they're not gonna be friends, they're just there to get the job done. So basically, there is no interconnected development between them, they don't get to be best buddies, but it's still so interesting. You see the characters developing throughout the novel, you see them growing or changing drastically, and I think that was really, really well done. Main character is an introvert. I really empathize with her. She's great. Sometimes she would do things that I don't really agree, but still it was really, really enjoyable to read about them, and really, really enjoyable to see them grow, see them developing. So the characters were a big part of why I really liked this book, and I gave that particular parameter 4.5 stars. Now, writing and storytelling. I think Jeff VanderMeer did a great job with this book. It's really, really well written. You can really place this world, and even though it is based in our world, it is in an area that's decidedly different from anything you've ever seen. So world building was a big thing here, and we get to understand this area a little bit better in this book. Not entirely because it is a trilogy, but it's very, very interesting. I think he did a great job at making everything so vivid and very well imagined. We can really, really imagine everything that's going on, every crazy, bizarre thing that happens in this world. And the writing has sort of a dreamlike quality to it. It's a little bit different from anything that I've read before, but that's a good thing, I think. It's not for everyone, though. I think if you don't like psychological thrillers or things that really play with perception, this is not the book for you. So I gave 4 stars to writing and storytelling. Now, ending and satisfaction. This is a part that I'm a bit split on. So basically, it's not the ending you would expect. It's very different, but it also isn't bad different, I think. It plays really well with the eeriness of this world and the eeriness of the entire story thus far. So I think it's a good ending for the book that this is. It served the bizarre, I think. And yeah, when you read this book, you really will understand why I say bizarre so much, because really it is bizarre, but in a good way, I think. So yeah, for the ending, I'm still split on it, but I'm gonna give it 4 stars because I still felt impacted by it. I felt like it was a good way to end this particular novel. So there you go. The average score for the book was 4.2. So yeah, great story. Really recommend it. And since this is a Nebula review series, I really think this has great potential, especially since the Nebula are given by writers to writers, so any fantasy and science fiction writer that has been published can vote for the Nebula Awards, and I think that plays a big part, specifically for this book, because the writing is a big portion of why I think it's great. And it's part of the new weird movement in science fiction. Yeah, it really is weird and different from everything that I have read before. So yeah, I have high hopes for this. I really think it is a big contender for the Nebula Awards, and yeah. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I hope you liked this. If you did, click the like button, and if you want to see more, click subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Ciao! Now for the plot and play. Hello?